adventure, sports, outdoors. With host Harry Canterbury.
There I was, back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before. Yeah.
Hi, Harry Canterbury with another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. We've got a really neat show today. Of course, our program is hunting, fishing, and outdoor stuff, but it's also about adventure. The adventure of a young man, when he was 21 years old, became a captain on a B24 bomber during World War II in 1943. His name is Hubert Cripe from Astoria, Illinois, a little community that I call my home away from home. I have more friends in Astoria, and I'm only down there 2 days a week, than I do in my own community. It's because those people are very friendly, very nice, loving, humble, great Americans. And Hubert Cripe is a fine example of one of these great Americans from the little town of Astoria, Illinois. We're also going to take a little short ride on the Illinois River with Ryan Briney and Jim Derry to take a look at this phenomenal amount of water that has inundated the Illinois River Valley. It is deep, it is wide, and I don't know if it's ever going to go down. So stay tuned for a very interesting, emotional show.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield, Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Michael O'Brien Commercial Real Estate and Recreational Ground, Remax Unlimited Commercial. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. And by Allwyn & Sons Meat Company. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
Hey, we're standing here in Browning, Illinois, just north of the town, and I'm here with Jim Derry. Jim Derry is from Summum, Illinois, but he's a river man. And I got a good friend of mine, Dave Green, my neighbor, up by my farm. He's lived down here about 15 years. And hey, this water is unbelievable. Recreational boaters haven't been able to get out, let alone the the guys that like to fish the river. Well, we're going to wait for our old buddy Ryan Briney, and he's a commercial fisherman, and we're going to get his opinion about what's going on here. But man, we had a 4.5-inch rain about 3 nights ago, and last night, did you hear, Dave, what we had last night?
I haven't heard it.
But it was a thunder boomer, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we're supposed to get another one.
Yeah.
I had about an inch in my boat this morning.
An inch of water, yeah. And that could represent as much as 3 inches, couldn't it?
Could have, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. All right, guys, well, we're going to hit the river and see what it looks like. We motored up the river with Ryan Briney and Jim Derry, 2 close friends of mine who live in the Browning-Astoria area. These guys have been on the Illinois River all their lives and can't believe what they see.
Hey, George, why don't you get out and stand in the doorway?
Oh, yeah.
This is how deep it is.
Yeah.
How much water we got underneath us, you think?
Oh, I'd say 8-9 foot.
8-9 foot.
Close to it.
Close to it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Take long to find out. Anyway.
Yeah. I'd say 7.5, 8 foot.
So we're about right. We're right in here?
Yep.
We're wet right to there.
Yep.
It's wet right there, and that's, let me see, so it's right there, and you're down here.
I'm 5.5.
So normally there's a truck parked in front of that fish market.
Yeah, that's the right ground.
We don't have to worry about the motor dragging.
No, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. This guy's taken on the tradition of fishing and hunting on the Illinois River. He makes a living catching these Asian carp. He's been on the show before, but he knows this river probably better than any living man that I know. I don't know anybody else that knows the river as well as Orion Briney. We're coming up on the tavern on stilts up here. That's normally probably, what, 14, 16 feet off the ground?
Yeah, probably is.
I mean, it's really, and if it comes up another foot, it's probably going to be okay though, right?
Well, unless we get more rain, they're still calling for a foot, so that's going to make it 1.5 foot, 2 foot from going in. So if we get more rain, I'd say, but it should, the levee will probably break somewhere before it gets in there.
Hi, I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week. Nothing's in season right now except varmints, and I have a good example of some Savage rifles that would make nice varmint guns. The first one right here is a new caliber on the market. It's a Savage model B-Mag, and it's in a 17 Winchester short magnum, which is a rimfire cartridge. This is a Savage 17 Hornet, which is a 22 caliber Hornet, neck down to 17, came out a few years ago. The rifle next to it with the wood laminated stock is a 17 Hornet heavy barrel. Not great range, but it's a fun caliber. Next to that we have a scoped Savage Axis rifle in 223. Greater range, you know, a good 300 or 400 yards. Next to that we have a 22-250. A lot bigger cartridge. The ammo's a little bit more expensive, but much greater range. It's a 400 or 500 yard rifle pretty easily. If you want a little larger caliber that you can also use out west, we have a Savage with a camouflage stock in 243. It's a fine deer and antelope cartridge as well as a varmint cartridge. You can get as small as a 58 grain bullet in that cartridge up to 100 and some grain bullet. The ammo for these rifles is right here, and we'll start here on the left. And this is a Federal made American Eagle 17 Winchester Super Magnum. It's a rimfire cartridge, came out a few years ago, and they come in boxes of 50. Next to that is the 17 Magnum, the VMAX, and it's also a rimfire cartridge. Stepping up a little bit, we have the 17 Hornet, the 22 Hornet, a 222, 223 from Hornady, and then we have a 2250, 22-250, and a 243. Excellent varmint cartridges, medium to long range. I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week.
Hello, I'm Dr. Art Herm at the Morton Animal Hospital. I've been in practice for over 40 years here at the Morton Animal Hospital in Morton, Illinois. Today we're going to talk about rabies. Now, rabies is almost passé in that it hasn't had any human cases in a long time. However, it's still around in the wildlife, especially the little brown rat in this part of the country. That's why we continue to vaccinate dogs for rabies. As a rabies control administrator in Tazewell County, it is imperative that I emphasize that everyone have their dogs vaccinated for rabies. And because of that, we have been able to limit the cases of human exposure for over the years. And it is up to you as a dog owner, mandated by the state, to have your dog vaccinated for rabies. From Ladybug and all our friends here at the Morton Animal Hospital, We wish you happy trails, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, Harry Canterbury, and we're in Astoria, Illinois, my home away from home. I'm here with a very special person, Hubert Cripe, a World War II Liberator pilot. That is a B-17, which I have a replica of it, a model of the B-17, which this gentleman flew during World War II. Hubert flew the B-17 Liberator, was shot down, and was held prisoner of war by the Germans for 14 months. Hubert has written a book all about his experiences, and it's called Bittersweet Brutality, an autobiography by Hubert R. Cripe. Hubert, it all started in Astoria in what year were you born?
I was born in 1920, October the 26th, 1920, on a farm about a mile east of Bader. Not too far from where you have a farm,
my farm,
Harry.
yeah.
I graduated in 1938 from Astoria High School, and my brother Morris and I both both enlisted at the same time, and we were classified in this Air Cadet program as pilots. And we were both sent to the same flying schools of the Army.
How old were you then?
I think I was about 21.
21 years old.
21 years old.
And flying, getting ready to fly one of these.
Yeah. It was different. I mean, it was England and a foreign place, and I was far from home. But here they got us ready for combat.
Were you ever attacked by the Germans?
Well, on these first 7 missions, I did not see an enemy fighter plane, but lots of anti-aircraft. There was one mission where it was supposed to be a clear day, and it was a clear day. We just flew to the base to the coast of France, was going to bomb this V1 site, and the anti-aircraft just exploded all around us. I mean, it was close. I mean, it was.
There was flak everywhere.
Oh, flak everywhere. They sent us to a place south of Berlin called Ackermer, and we dropped the bombs there. Well, then on the 6th of March. That's when the story here starts. I was wakened about 3 o'clock in the morning for briefing, and the crew, we ate breakfast and we went in for briefing, very early briefing, and they said this would be the first daylight raid on Berlin. It would be an epic raid. Well, of course, when we saw the rowdy and everybody in that, I mean, there were 300 men in that, more than 300 men in that room of crews, and every one of us just groaned. The entire Air Force on the 6th of March, there was over 800 4-engine bombers took off from England. Why, there was the 1st Division was leading, the 3rd Division was in the middle, and the 2nd Division was in the rear of an armada of airplanes that was at least 15 miles wide and 100 miles long.
And of course, it was heavily guarded by anti-aircraft and airplanes.
Enemy fighters. Oh,
I mean, they were. That was the bee's nest, and they were going to take care of that.
Yes, we hadn't any more and got there when the plane I was flying with feathered an engine. Well, he was in trouble, and he left the formation. I was flying number 2. They hadn't briefed me on what to do here, and what I just followed him out of the formation, which what I should have done in that particular place was, being number 2, I moved up into number 1 position, and then the 3rd plane we would go on into. Well, as soon as I got away from the formation, Cripe, this is idiot. You're loaded, 4 engines running, get back in formation. I got in the wrong section. Well, and I just got into formation with a plane there, and that's the way we went through the target, went through the most hellish anti-aircraft fire that, I mean, it was close. You could hear it go off, and there would be spent pieces of that shrapnel would ricochet off your airplane. And I thought, boy, we get a hit in the bomb bay, that'll blow us all to pieces. This plane that I was flying formation with had got battle damage, and he had an engine feathered. And he started straggling. And here again, you're looking back, things you should have done, but you didn't. I stayed with him. That's when the Messerschmitts hit us from the tail. All of a sudden, I heard this whump in my airplane, and all of a sudden, the plane next to me, that's when he got a hit in the trailing edge of his wing. And it started shaking and shuddering. I pulled the throttles back, and the co-pilot and I both had to work hard to get it back on the level keel. We were still burning, and the fire had moved up to the first engine, and close to the first engine, and that's when I gave the order, abandon ship. So anyway, there I was hanging in the parachute. Very calm, very quiet.
Did you see the plane going still, or?
Well, I saw the plane as but it disappeared in the cloud. And then when I was still in the cloud, why, I heard the plane crash. Well, I drifted out of the cloud, and there below me was water. Well, here it was the Zuider Zee of Holland. And so that fishing boat came alongside and took us aboard. They lowered a rope, and I dragged myself up, and I was bedraggled there with water, and there was Russ Anderson. He was standing on the end of the boat. He was bowed, his head was bowed, and he was saying, "Thank God, thank God, thank God." And we hadn't been much more than got, aboard that boat until here come the German boat, and they took us prisoner. On the German boat now, they took us below deck. It was a good-sized boat. There was a navigator, so they had the three of us, and so we three were the only survivors of Crew 44. And the young man that spoke English to me, I guess he was maybe looking for information or something, but he saw I was wearing a wristwatch. He wanted that watch, so I gave it to him because he had a gun. And but anyway, those Army wristwatches, they were not waterproof.
So it was no
so
good?
I don't know if he got any good out of it or not.
Where'd you go from there in the boat?
Well, they took us to Amsterdam.
Uh-huh.
And they put me in a solitary confinement at Amsterdam. They put us on a train, and we rode the train, I think, from the morning until evening, and I found out later it was what they called Stalag Luft, which was an interrogation center for prisoners of war. And they didn't feed anything the next morning, but they came and got me and put me in a room. I sat down at a table, and there was a German there that spoke English, and he was my interrogator. It turned out, and lo and behold, another German come in. He had a bowl of hot soup, and he looked at me. He said, "Have some breakfast, Lieutenant." Boy, that was a good bowl of soup.
Pretty good.
Well, he offered me a second bowl, and I always wish I'd took him up on the second bowl. But anyway, he offered me a cigarette. I smoked in. I quit smoking after the war. But he offered me a cigarette. It was an American cigarette. And anyway, we lit cigarettes, and so he pushed this big long paper written in English. At the top of it said something about the Red Cross and all kinds of questions on it you're supposed to answer. Yeah, he said, Lieutenant, he says, you fill this out and we'll see that your parents get told all about you. Well, I knew that, you know, they'd kind of briefed us on if you're ever prisoner of war, why, name, rank, and serial number. Well, of course, there was a place up here for name, rank, and serial number. So I think, of course, they wanted to know the names of all the crew. And I wrote my name, rank, and serial number. But anyway, I pushed it back to him, and I said, that's it. Well, he smoked his cigarette a while, knocked the ash off, and I guess you might say we was kicking the cobbler around. But anyway, he said, he said, Lieutenant, he said, we know more about you than you know about yourself. Well, I said, fine. You just fill this out, we'll all go home. Well, that didn't suit him. He smoked a little bit more, and he said one of your crew members' names was Woder. Woder. Well, he caught me off guard. One of my
enlisted men.
Well, it was my ball-thread gunner, and his name was Yoder. Well, the Germans pronounce the Y as a W.
Right.
So he said one of your crew members' name was Woder, and he caught me a nice whoop. Yeah, that's right. And then I gave him a name on one other name. I said, but I don't. See, I had 3 crew members that were sick that day, and I had been given 3 men from another man's crew. And I was truthful when I said I don't know the names of any of the others. So he finally, I guess that satisfied him. That was the end of my interrogation. So they took me out of there, put me on another railroad car, and this was a box car full of prisoners. And they had 6 German guards that would in the boxcar with you. And we rode that train 4 days and 4 nights till we got to the final prison camp, which was Stalag Luft 1, and that was about 100 miles north of Berlin. When we was coming on the boxcar to the prison camp, they had given us a bread ration. Well, you wouldn't believe the kind of bread they would. We didn't even call it bread. It was black war bread, what they called Kriegsbrot. And we'd get a ration, and but so many of us, when we left the boxcar, we just left a ration of bread in the boxcar because.
Terrible.
Well, it was. But anyway, as soon as we got in, and the other guy said, "Boy, food is so scarce here." Says, "You idiots, you should have brought that ration with you." We had a secret radio. There had been
smuggled in.
They had bribed the Germans with cigarettes to bring radio parts in, and they had just a small radio that they could receive the broadcast from England, what they call BBC.
So you're waiting there, and I mean, you know, the Battle of Bulge going on.
Yeah.
And you knew about D-Day and the whole bit and everything. So while you're waiting, what happened with the German guards?
Well, they all, I think, the entire town of Barth.
Barth.
Yeah, the civilians walked past our prison camp, and they were heading south. They wanted to get to the British.
They wanted to get away from the Russians.
Get away from the Russians. And there we were in that prison camp. And the commanding officer was Hub Zemke. And he had been with the radio contact. They had a way of getting radio contact back to England. And so we knew that we would be liberated, and we were to stay in the prison camp, stay right there. So there we were, and the Russians came in, and we had a great time fraternizing with them. They put on a program show once for us. You never believe all that kind of dancing they do. And I took this book with me.
And this book is
that's about the only,
a wartime log.
Yeah, that's about the only one that only memorabilia that I brought out of prison camp.
You had this in the prison?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I made it up. And
who did the pencil sketch of you?
Well, that's a roommate. A roommate.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, he wasn't too bad.
You were a handsome fellow then. Still are good looking guy. Look at this. He may have became a grand artist or something.
Well, I think he went on with a career in, he may have had a career with Disney.
Is that right? He was very, very good.
Yeah, so he was
very,
good.
very good. Very good. Well, we're going to look at some more of these pictures.
Let's see. That is a picture of me that the Germans took. Well, it was taken, I think, about the time I was captured.
Oh, this is about the time you were captured.
Yeah.
Here's a name, all the names of the men that were killed in that flight, and this must be really hard for you to look at.
I always choke up, Harry. I tell you, it's why.
If you don't mind me reading this.
Why did I survive and they not?
If you don't mind me reading the little inscription that you wrote.
No.
It says, "Ah, my fallen comrades, you whose life has been snuffed in the futility of strife. Ah, you were so young. Now your children are unborn and your songs unsung. We who are yet alive salute your valor and commit to you your final resting place." Did you write that?
I wrote that.
It's very nice.
Yes, but it's good to remember. It's good to remember.
And I'm sure that all these guys would appreciate that.
Yeah.
What a story. One of the most emotional interviews I've ever done in my entire life. Hubert Cripe, First Lieutenant on a B-24. Man, what a guy. A guy come from a little town of 30 people, rose to the rank of First Lieutenant, and piloted a B-24 bomber, a Liberator. What a story, what a guy, what an American.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield. Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Michael O'Brien Commercial Real Estate and Recreational Ground, Remax Unlimited Commercial. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. And by Allwyn & Sons Meat Company. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.